Therapy dogs bring joy and kindness to everyone. But how does a dog actually become a therapy dog? I'm Kaylin Cox, and that's a question I took upon myself to answer. I wanted to know everything about therapy dogs, from what the training process looks like, to the places they work, and even alliances that support them and their handlers. I learned everything I need to know through my own research and two very important interviews. Let's take a look at those interviews. Can you tell me a little bit about the Alliance of Therapy Dogs and the work that your organization does?
Sure. So we are a international organization that now has over 19,000 members. And we certify, test, and insure therapy dog teams. So everybody, pretty much, we provide liability insurance to our volunteer teams when they go out and do visits. So it kind of keeps everyone safer. So when you do a therapy dog visit, you do want to make sure that you have insurance. A lot of facilities require it now, and so we do offer that to our members. And we have been, I believe, around now since 1990. So we're at 35 years this year.
That's great. Um, what makes the Alliance of Therapy Dogs different from other therapy dog organizations?
Sure. So we actually started really, really small with just a husband and wife team. They made up their first little meeting in their living room in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And so we started from pretty much nothing, and we have grown, like I said, to over pretty much 20,000 members. We have a very small office staff. As a nonprofit, we obviously don't make a profit as an organization. So we only have, what are we up to? One, two, three, four, five, six. I think we are now up to seven paid staff members for our organization, along with our volunteer board of directors. And so everyone that normally gets to know us and joins us says that they love the fact that when they can call the office, they get someone real and it's not automated. So we really try to keep in touch with all of our members and make sure they know that there are actual people here working and trying to help them with whatever they need.
That's amazing. What are the steps that someone has to take to get their dog certified through the Alliance of Therapy Dogs?
Sure. So our test looks a little different than maybe some of the other ones that someone might hear of. So our first step is that we do require prospective members to complete a background check through an organization called Sterling Volunteers. So they're a well-known, respected background check company. And once they do that, then they can go ahead and get a health verification form signed by their vet. And that says that their dogs have seen a vet within 12 months, that they have a negative fecal within 12 months, and that they are current on their rabies vaccine or titer. Once they have those two things, they can go ahead and contact their nearest tester observer, and the tester observer will do the ATD certification test, which includes the handling assessment. So that part, the tester observer will watch people walk with their dog to make sure their dog can walk under control. They will put their hands on the dog to make sure the dogs are comfortable being touched everywhere. They will kind of walk a little oddly next to the dog, and they'll kind of run around the dog to make sure they're comfortable with that. And then the dog will go up to a seated person to make sure that they can approach appropriately. And once they pass that, oh, and they will go ahead and make sure that the dog, it doesn't have to meet another dog, but they have to be able to hold their composure around other dogs so that they can, if they go visit with some other dog, they can still do that visit successfully. Once they complete that, then they can go ahead and do 3 to 4 observations with the tester observer. So they actually go on 3 to 4 real visits. Two of those do have to be in a medical facility, whether it's a nursing home, a pharmacy, maybe a hospital would let them come in, a rehab facility. So somewhere they may run into medical equipment and all the sights and sounds and smells that kind of go along with it too. Once they are complete with all of that, they will take all of their paperwork and they will send it into the office, and then the office gives them the final okay.
Are there certain requirements like age, temperament, or training that needs to be met for the dog to apply?
hmm So a big thing that we push is that we try to keep our dollar amount of what our members have to provide as low as possible. We want everyone to be able to be included. If they have a dog that would be a wonderful therapy dog and they want to do it, we want to make sure that we make it as easy as possible for them too. So our new member fees are very low compared to other organizations. And we do not require any special classes or anything like that beforehand because either maybe they just can't afford it, but they have a really great dog, or maybe they're a trainer themselves and they don't necessarily have to go to a class. So we don't require any testing or anything like that before you're ready to test with a therapy dog. And then as far as the dog itself, temperament, obviously you want your dog to enjoy people. And that's why we love our test, is because we can really see that. We do require that the dog is at least 1 year old and that the person they're testing with has had a relationship with the dog for at least 6 months. Because you don't have to be the owner to test with the dog. You just have to have a good relationship with them. We have, like me and my friend, we tested with each other's dogs because we visit a lot. So we want that opportunity to be like, oh, hey, let me hold your dog for you. You take this dog. We also have family members that maybe don't want to get their own dog, but their daughter has a dog that loves to visit and the daughter doesn't want to. So the mom goes and visits with that dog. So it gets lots of opportunities.
I admire how you make it so accessible to everybody to be
Hmm.
a therapy dog, because that's something that is so great to reflect back onto communities.
For sure.
Is there certain breeds or personalities that you find do better in this role, or can almost any dog be successful?
I would say, coming from someone that has a breed that normally most people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're doing that. Really, any dog has that opportunity. I think you're naturally going to see certain breeds more than others just because there's more of them in the United States or wherever they're visiting. So, like, golden retrievers just got knocked off, or labs just got knocked off as one of the most popular dog breeds in the US. So obviously there's just going to be way more of them. So yeah, your labs, your goldens, they're very popular dog breeds right now. You're going to see more of them. But truly, any breed, we have no restrictions on breeds. The only thing we do not allow are coyote and wolf hybrids, and that's just because we don't have confirmation that the rabies vaccine works in them appropriately. But yeah, any breed is welcome.
You already talked about how they might visit medical facilities like nursing homes, rehabs, hospitals, but what other kind of places would a therapy dog go to and visit?
Yeah, I love this question because we have them literally everywhere. Pretty much at this point, I just finished writing a blog post that we're going to post next month about, you know, unique places you would not expect to see a therapy dog, maybe. A big one of mine that's always been a big passion of mine is the airport. We started a program at the Myrtle Beach Airport a few years ago, and everyone loves it. I want to say we're up to 70 airports around that have airport programs now. But yeah, just people get nervous of flying. People aren't flying always for the happiest reasons. The workers are very stressed. So it's just a really fun place to visit. The other ones I had listed are correctional facilities. So bringing dogs into correctional facilities for the inmates. What else did I say? Construction sites. A lot of construction sites are beginning to hire mental health professionals. And we just did a visit on a construction site for World Suicide Awareness Day, because they're highly stressed in those environments. And the thought of potentially getting injured on site is always a real possibility. So it was a great place to visit. I was glad we could do it. But I mean, you'll see them now at like sports competitions. So a lot of gymnastics competitions, world gymnastics will bring them in. Um, any even academic competitions. So yeah, pretty much if you have an idea of like, well, maybe this could work there, someone's probably done it, or if not, someone would be open to it. So I think that's the really cool part about therapy work.
Can you share a story or an example of how therapy dogs from your alliance have made a big difference from people?
Sure. Gosh, we have so many, and I get to read them all the time because people enter them, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so sad. I think a big one right now that I've been seeing going on is we've actually been able to have quite a few of our teams go along with the honor flights, which are flights that are taking veterans to, I believe, DC to go see everything. But they'll be there waiting when they come back and go. And so I think that's always really touching. We have a lot of members who do a lot of work with our military on bases, and it's so needed. A big one at the airport for me was that there was someone who just came up to me and asked, they were crying already, and they asked, like, could I pet your dog? And I said, sure. And so they just really sat there, didn't say a word to me, got up, said thank you, and left. And I was like, man, I really, you always kind of wonder, like, what are they going through that is so bad? And she actually contacted me on Instagram later and told me that she'll always remember Oreo, my dog, because she was actually leaving her dad for the last time because he probably wasn't going to make it after that. And so it was just very touching.
What advice would you give to someone who's just starting to explore the idea of a therapy dog or just starting getting certified?
I would say really start to look into dog body language. That's a big part of being a good handler. Is knowing that you're going to have to stand up for your dog at some point. Somebody at some point is going to make your dog slightly uncomfortable, and you have to be willing to stand up for your dog and say, hey, we need to back out of this. I always say give the excuse that my dog has to go to the bathroom, whatever you have to do, but you are going to have to stand up for your dog. So you have to be comfortable speaking up for them. But learning the signs that your dog is uncomfortable is so important to our handlers that I really try to push it on them as much as possible. Like, look, their body language doesn't always look like our body language, and you need to know the difference and make sure that they are truly enjoying this work.
Is there any common challenges that someone would face trying to get their dog certified as a therapy dog?
I would say the biggest ones I usually see are that we get a lot of people who are like, I only want to visit with my dog. There's not going to be other dogs around. So he may not be super comfortable or overexcited about being around other dogs, but it's okay because we don't plan on visiting around other dogs. And I just have to stress the importance, like, you never know on a visit when a random dog is going to pop up. And you don't want to frighten the people that you're visiting with, or potentially get someone hurt because your dog got so excited and decided to lunge and maybe scratch their leg or something. So, yes, you might not have plans to visit with other dogs, but the world does not always know your plans.
Right.
I have been interrupted by random dogs so many times that you just come to expect it, even in non-dog friendly places. You never know what you're going to find.
How do you see the role of therapy dogs changing in the future?
Um, I would say that I think you're going to continue seeing them in many different places. My hope is that on the flip side of that, people start to realize that not every dog can be or should be a therapy dog. I think right, even a little earlier, and like right now, everybody wants to do this work because they want to give back, and it's a great way to spend time with your dog while giving back and putting a smile on someone's face. I get it. But I see a lot of people that want to do it, and maybe the dog necessarily doesn't want to do it. And so I hope in the future that we can start to really show, like, this is what a good therapy dog looks like, and, maybe we can find something else for your dog to do.
Then my last question is there anything you'd like the public to better understand about the work of a therapy dog or the role of a therapy dog to the community?
Yes, everything. No, we still get all the time, oh, service dog, oh, service dog. And so it's just always a constant battle of trying to explain the difference between service dogs and therapy dogs, and that my dog has to be invited in as a therapy dog, but service dogs get that access. Because I don't want people to think that I just went in somewhere with my dog because it's a therapy dog, you know. So I always let people know like we were invited in by the facility. And my dog does nothing for me. It's just here to help you feel better. Where a service dog helps their handler with a disability, and you usually can't say hi to your service dogs. So it's always a constant battle. But I hope that the more that we get our handlers talking about it, the more that the service dog industry is getting, their hands on it and talking about it, and just people in general start to understand.
For sure.
My name is Jessica Jones, and I am the Director of Development at Oakwood. And this is AKC registered Brienne of Tarth. She is a teddy bear golden doodle.
Tell me a little bit about how you and Bree started working together.
I will. In 2020, after COVID, I was head of school, and during carpool line, we had a lot of children that had separation anxiety, and they were very worried about, after COVID, leaving their parents and people getting sick, and there were all these rumors about how coming to school would be terrible. And so we, as a school, invested in the wellness program of the children, and one of the pieces of that was to have a therapy dog on campus. And so I volunteered to take that burden. And my family adopted Bree in the fall of 2020, and then we started her therapy work when she was 6 weeks old at school.
What steps were involved in becoming a therapy dog?
To become a therapy dog, they do recommend that the dog can take and pass the AKC Good Citizen Test 1 and 2. And those are being able to do basic things like sit and stay, being passed off to a stranger, being groomed or touched by a stranger. And so we went through that whole process. And then we also took courses on food avoidance, because a lot of times therapy dogs are in situations where there are snacks available, and they should not, help themselves to somebody's like hospital table.
Right.
And took classes on teaching her how to test and see if somebody's body temperature is raised or if their blood pressure is raised based on like their heartbeat, so that she could provide a calming presence. And like what you see her doing now is what she's doing. Like she has really thin skin on her neck, she's leaning on the artery on my leg, and she's gonna do the same to you, and then she'll make a decision like whether or not she needs to be your weighted blanket.
I love that. How long does the training usually take?
It depends on the dog. It took us, she had been in schools since about 6 weeks old, and so she was really acclimated to having strange people touch her, to loud noises, to running children, all of those things. And so the training took about 3 months, give or take, like once it was all said and done. It's not something that I sent her off to because I wanted to be her handler. So we had to, spend an hour or two a week for 8 weeks or 6 weeks, and go through that whole process, and then have time to practice as well.
What qualities do you think that make dogs a good therapy dog?
I think they have to be calm. And there are some dogs who can be calm with their owners, but are not calm necessarily with other people or in strange situations. Lots of dogs can get skittish when there's like loud noises, even if somebody like slams the door. She does have a trigger when people knock. It never fails. If somebody knocks, she will bark, and there's nothing we can do about that. But being able to be handled too is difficult. Some dogs don't like you to touch their paws, or they don't like you to pull on their ears. And some dogs, I think, are mouthy. Like they'll nip, or they'll chew, or they'll bite. It just depends. And I also think there's an opposite end of that spectrum. Like some dogs are really lazy, and every time you have them, they just want to like lay down and not do anything. And like people tend not to like that either, because it's awkward to like have to lean down on the floor and pet a dog. So I think there's lots of factors.
For sure. How does Bree help students and staff here for our school and our community?
We work carpool every morning and we'll work drop off in the afternoons, so she's out and present. It's a really great distraction for our lower school and our middle school children who get out of the car in the morning, maybe had a tough fight with mom, or their hair, and they just need like a little pick-me-up. It's a nice change of pace and a change of conversation for them. The little ones who feel sad because they have to get out of their cars and leave their parents, Bree will walk them in, and it's a great distraction. Do you have a dog at home? Would you like Bree to walk you in? Like, let's go walk with Bree.
Yeah.
I have had some students over the years visit us pretty regularly who suffer with panic attacks during the school day, or who have anxiety, and Bree is a great distraction. Like if you're having a panic attack, to walk a dog, because it changes your breathing pattern, it changes your state of mind, you're doing something purposeful, and so it can often, work against those adverse feelings and make people feel happy.
Well, thank you so much for having her in
Yeah.
our community. Can you share a meaningful moment where your dog made a difference for somebody, or a moment that sticks out to you?
We volunteer once or twice a month at the hospital and visit people who are in long-term ICU. Like they've been in bad car wrecks, or they've had accidents, and they've been in the hospital for like 60 days or more, sometimes more than that. And you forget that if you're in the hospital for 2 full months, like you have pets at home and a life going on. And we visited a sweet older lady. She had 2 dogs at home, and she was like, the only thing I need in my life is a dog. Like my dogs are with me all the time. Like I miss them. I mean, she was so thankful to see a dog and to pet a dog, and she missed her pet so much, and it was just a good moment for me to remember, like not everybody is as lucky with their health, but also lucky to have pets with them, and that was like really touching. And there's been a lot of moments like that, especially at the hospital or at like long-term care facilities, where people are like, I had to give my dog up because I've been here so long and I have nobody to take care of them. She's part of my family. I miss them so much. And it just, it always sticks. Like it always makes me feel like I'm just walking the dog around, but like people really makes a difference.
Yes.
It's very sweet.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to train their own dog to become a therapy dog?
I would encourage them to do a lot of research. If you want, there's like a whole factor of non-legitimate therapy animals, right? So like you can go to your doctor and say, I need to have a dog with me at all times. And then you end up with this like crazy dog that people just want to be able to bring into pool day, right? Or like they might have in their apartment. But to have a true therapy dog that's not a working dog, I have insurance on her because she is an animal, and if something were to happen, like she is at the end of the day still a dog, right? We have rules that we have to follow through the Alliance of Therapy Dogs to make sure that she's behaving as a dog, that I'm behaving as a handler, that we're not putting anybody in danger, that she's not spreading germs. I mean, there are rules about like nails and bathing and who's allowed to give treats, and if she touches somebody's bedding or somebody's hands, like we're supposed to use sanitizer. Like it's a whole situation. And as a handler, like I have to pass a rules test once a year to make sure I know the rules and that I'm following the proper etiquette, and respecting the boundaries of places that we go to as a handler. So I think there's 2 routes. Like some people just want to have therapy dogs personally for themselves, which is legitimate. Some people just want to like be able to take their dog on an airplane, which frustrates me because that kind of bends the boundaries of what makes this legitimate. And then there's a whole like swath of people like me that were part of this group who genuinely like want there to be rules, and there's boundaries for what we do and how we help people. So it's a lot of decisions to make. And I think you have to be invested, like, as her handler. I mean, she is mine. I'm responsible for her all of the time. Like, I can't pass her off to somebody at school to walk because I'm busy. I can't leave her in the car because she goes berserk. Because she's, like, I'm her person.
Right,
like, These are our rules because we're together. So I think there's a commitment in that, too.
For sure. Is there anything you wish you had known before starting the process of becoming a therapy dog?
Kind of. She's an older dog now, which is harder to do tricks. And we were so focused on her accomplishing the therapy work that we kind of, like she can sit and shake and do some base. She'll give a high five and do some basic things. But like we missed the whole like roll over and play dead and run through my legs and do something cute, which people often want to see with a therapy dog. And I'm like, oh no, she doesn't do any of that. So I wish we would have done some of those more basic tricks like when she was younger, but we were so focused on her like being able to place and follow a command and listen to rules appropriately that we didn't maybe play a lot when she was little. So, not that she seems really upset about that, but.
My last question is there anything else that you would like people to understand about therapy dogs, or is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, just that, we work really hard to be a pet therapy team. And again, like there are rules and regulations that we follow that that I am bound to and that are really important to us. And so I do encourage anybody who wants to have a therapy dog to go through a program that legitimizes, what therapy dogs do and how they're important in the world. So, yeah. So I brought some things. To share with Bree. She is a official volunteer at ECU Health. This is her name badge that she has to wear when we volunteer, and that just tickles people that she has her name badge. Often when we volunteer in classrooms or in the hospital, there's a lot of conversation about like her breed and her care and maintenance and those sort of things. So this is her business card. She has her own Facebook page, and it has all kinds of information and pictures, and people like to take that because they often want to share. They had a dog visit their room, and this is all of her stuff. When we visit elementary classes, I actually have a coloring page that is like a picture of Bree with all of her things.
I love
didn't bring it today, but that's a lot of fun. And then Bree has her AKC Therapy Dog Medal and Badge of Excellence, and this means she's completed I believe 1,000 hours of volunteer service work. And that's between
so cool.
that's between like being in the school, as a pet therapy team, we have to visit lots of different places. So she spent time in like severe and profound classrooms with children who are nonverbal. Pet therapy is super for that. We spend time in hospice care. Again, you're talking about folks who have pets at home that can't be with them, or rehabilitation facilities, and then we go to the hospital, and so we document all of those hours with our Alliance of Therapy Dogs program and with AKC so that she can keep up, her certification and what she does as part of this. And then we also have worked with other people who are interested in being therapy dogs, training them. Bree is not friendly with other dogs. Like she's a human, she has human people, like she doesn't need dog friends. And so it's good work for Bree when we do that, but then I try to provide support for the handler who's maybe feels overwhelmed about going through because the AKC test, those are two separate tests, and then there's an Alliance of Therapy Dog test, and then you have to take 3 trips with a certified handler before they'll recommend you for certification to make sure your dog's great in multiple situations. And so sometimes that can be daunting, and they're like, I don't know if my dog is going to be great at this. I don't know if it's good for both of us. And so we use our experience to help other people who are interested in therapy work. So.
That's great. That's so good.
Yeah, lots of fun things.
Well, hello there.
Okay, see? Shake. Oh, yeah, there we go. See? Smart thing. Yeah. Up. Oh, yeah. We call that our fist bump. Yeah, I know. Terrible. Yes. Yes, I see you. I see you. There's your hug. Come see Kayla. Come see camera. Come see.
The process of becoming a therapy dog takes patience, so much training, and a big heart. But the impact you will see is unmeasurable. What I hope you take away from this documentary is just how important therapy dogs are to whole communities.